Okay, here's a random thought. I was just looking at my hand. I was washing my hands, and then I looked at my pinky here. So the other day, I sliced my finger open pretty badly. I was doing some work with a segment of stovepipe, and it's double wall stainless, so it's super expensive. And I lost my footing, and I dropped this thing, so I grabbed it again to catch it, and so most of it's so smooth that it didn't occur to me that there's one part of it that's super sharp. And of course, that's where my hand went, and it's particularly frustrating because I was just at the beginning of a chunk of time that I had dedicated to moving this project forward, and I sliced my hand, and as a rule of thumb, or in this case, a rule of pinky, I don't look when I hurt myself because like I know it's going to be bad, and so I just give it a second. And I just had the pipe and I was moving towards what I was going to do with it, hoping that it wasn't bad because I had a lot to do. And I felt the blood gushing out of my finger, dripping on things, and I was like, oh no. So I looked at my hand, and sure enough, it was all the skin was cut through. I was like, okay, test number one, are the tendons cut? And I moved my pinky, and I was like, well, it's moving, so it's probably not tendons. And the next priority was not making a mess, so I tried to grab it and elevate it so it wasn't making a mess and get out of where I was. It was in a cavity of my roof, which is fun. I don't really have an attic in my house. I have cavities. So I went downstairs and I'm running through options in my head, and I'm really wishing it wasn't on my right hand because I'm right-handed, because I could suture it. If it was on my left hand, I could find a way to do it one-handed. And my wife appeared, and I went and found her or whatever, and because she knows where all the stuff is, I was like, where's the stuff? So she found our little first aid box. And I was really wishing she knew how to suture, because then she could do it. And she's like, well, why don't you go to the hospital? And I said, we're an hour away. There's going to be a huge wait to get in. They're going to charge us a fortune for that. And I absolutely won't get anything done. And I'm pretty sure that we could figure something out. And so I said, get me a really fat rubber band. And she did. And I made an impromptu tourniquet at the base of my finger to cut off the bleeding. And I said, get me some super glue. And she got me some super glue, and I squirted it in there. We have the gel kind specifically for this purpose. Gel super glue is amazing. The regular stuff's real runny, so it won't stay where you put it. So I filled the gash with super glue, and then I asked her to cut me some strips, so we didn't have butterflies, of medical tape. So I put that on there, and then I went and I found a piece of metal that was pliable, and it was wire, and I made a splint real quick, one-handed, and that was curved so that it wouldn't open up the wound. And then I used this flexible gauze sticky stuff. That's a technical term, flexible gauze sticky stuff. And I wrapped my pinky with that. I was like, all right, good to go. And I went back to work. And I was mostly useless, but I got the needle moved a little. So it should have taken like 2 weeks to heal up. And long story short, I had all the bandages and stuff off in like maybe 6 days. I'm not a medical doctor and I don't feel like Googling it, but I would imagine that there's a correlation between the time that you take to get something stitched or whatever method you're using to join two pieces of skin together, and how quickly it heals. And in the end, and you can't appreciate it. I mean, if I hold it just right, maybe against my lush eyebrows, you can kind of see the divot in there. There you go. See how it's like there you go. Nice divot. But it healed up really well. And I would be surprised if stitches from the doctor's office would have worked better. So what's the point in sharing all this? It's just a brief example in at least two principles. One, truth is truth. And so when you learn things at a principle level, you can apply them in all sorts of situations. And then the second thing is, what is this principle? This principle is, think about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And ask yourself if there's a better what for the why. In my case, I wanted to get back to full function. And the default thing that normal people would have done is go to the hospital. But that wasn't the best thing to do. I had a much better outcome by using my brain and a little bit of prior experience and knowledge. And I knew that super glue could be used to seal certain wounds. And also, my wife asked if I should put some alcohol on there to disinfect it. And I said, no. I had rinsed it off, but I was like, look, it was bleeding really badly right away. I'm sure the blood washed off whatever was in there. But furthermore, if we're going to cleanse it, I knew from something I learned a while ago, probably when I was looking up how to suture, that iodine is what you want to use, which we have some of that for that reason. Not alcohol, because alcohol will inhibit the sealing of the skin. So you don't want to clean wounds that need to heal up. Incisions, you don't want to clean incisions with alcohol for that reason. So anyway, I applied all that, and I applied some super glue, and now I'm good to go. And it healed up really quickly. So just goes to show you that principles are super valuable because you can apply them in any situation. Rules are limited to specific situations. So as a rule, you might say, if wounded, go to hospital. But maybe that's not the best thing to do, because you have to ask why you're doing it and if there's a better what.